Good morning. We're an energetic group today. Welcome to worship with the community of the First Unitarian Church of Omaha. I'm Reverend Shari Woodbury, the church's settled minister. I'm glad you have chosen to join us on this beautiful morning that is giving me hope that spring is on its way. We come to worship, which from the Latin means to remember that which is of worth. And so we gather in community weekly to reground ourselves in our highest values, which we will be doing this morning. A special welcome to visitors. This congregation is a community of all ages and abilities. It is a community with a rainbow of gender and sexual identities. It is a community of diverse cultural and class backgrounds. We draw from many sources of inspiration and share common liberal religious values. Whomever you may be, we invite you to bring your whole self into this space. If you're joining us online, I encourage you to create a YouTube account and sign in when you join us that way. And that way you can participate in Joys and Concerns and say hello to other folks who are joining online. You can also subscribe to our channel and share sermons that you like with others. For those who are here in person, you are invited to go downstairs to the common room after the service, out this door and down and around, or the foyer and this way, for coffee and conversation. Meanwhile, if you are logged into church Wi-Fi and don't need to be, please put your cell phone on airplane mode. I actually don't have any announcements today, but I want to give a quick shout out to all the folks who helped with the chili cook-off a couple of Saturdays ago, and also to the youth and all the folks who shared their talents at our Why Are You talent show on Friday. To find out what else is going on this week, you can use the QR code or the links in your order of service, or grab a printed e-news in the foyer. It's appropriate to acknowledge that First Unitarian Church of Omaha occupies the traditional treaty lands of the Omaha, Oto, Missouri tribal nations, whose sovereignty existed long before the state of Nebraska. We'd also like to express our respect to the Ponca tribe of Nebraska, the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, the Santee Sioux tribe of Nebraska, and over 170 other tribes represented within the Omaha area. And now a special prelude from Connie DeFazio. This morning, Emily Baker will light the flaming chalice. Will you join me in the chalice lighting words? Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love, alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life. Thank you, Emily. And this time, we turn our thoughts to how we can touch and be touched, love and be loved, forgive and be forgiven, heal and be healed, so that the goodness of our lives is a shared blessing. I invite you to rise and join in singing the opening hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
I may speak.
And the children may come forward at this time for a story for all ages. It'll be shared by our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Christina Strong.
Right, I have a kind of a small book today, so if you can all gather around where you can see well. Our book today is called I Am Love.
Respect. We already watched it. You guys read it.
Would anyone like to help me read it?
Yes. We've already read it. We have.
And did you raise your hand to read?
No, we've already.
We do. We repeat books sometimes,
I'm pretty sure we did.
especially when you're
I am
good.
one.
All right,
I am love.
go ahead. Read that page.
When I see someone going through a storm,
Of hurt and unfairness, of anger and sadness,
when the sun disappears and the skies grow dark,
and I see there is fear,
I ask myself, what can I do to help let the light back in?
this is a new copy, the pages are sticky. Okay. I put my hands on my heart and listen, and that is where I find the answer.
I have compassion. I act with tenderness.
I am love.
I can listen and not say a word. I can be there. Love is being. He says doing it too.
Love is being I can hug and hold and say everything will be all right. Love is comfort.
I can speak softly and choose my words and actions carefully. Love is gentle.
I can give thanks for all I have and am able to share. Love is gratitude.
I can keep my mind and body safe and healthy. Love is taking care of me.
I can express what's important to me. Love is creative.
I can know that no one is perfect. Love is understanding.
Love is understanding. I can do my best to make things better when something is wrong. Love is effort.
I can celebrate those I've loved before. Love is remembering.
I can find goodness in a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared smile. Love is tiny gestures.
I can
Breathe.
breathe in the air that the whole world
Shares. The air that the whole world shares.
and know all creatures are made from the very same stardust. Love is connection.
Love is connection. When the clouds roll in for others and for me, I know now there is something I can do.
I can let my heart lead the way. I am love.
You are love,
We are love.
and love will weather the storm and light up the sky.
Together.
Now in peace. Lovely to hear children tell stories. Each week, we practice the spiritual virtue of generosity by taking up a community offering. Half of the loose currency in the offering, anything not otherwise designated, is donated to a local cause which resonates with UU values. If you're online or prefer to give via your smartphone, you can use the QR code or the link provided. Our Share the Plate recipient for February is the Indigenous Council of Omaha, founded by John Papan. The Council's mission is to promote equity and access for the Native American community in the Omaha, Nebraska area by providing advocacy and support. During the music, joys and concerns can also be put in the offertory basket on a yellow card if you're in the sanctuary and would like one shared. And if you're online, you can put your joy or concern in the chat. We gratefully receive this offering as we hear gifted music from the Offbeats with special guest Marcos Gutierrez.
If you
you, the offbeats, and thank you to all of you for your generosity. Come to the time for sharing of joys and concerns. When we share our joys are multiplied. And when we share our concerns, our community can offer its care. I've got one here from a person in the congregation in the sanctuary here. Terry Lynn shares thanks to all of those, Walt and Donna and others who helped with moving things so she could get new carpet put in her apartment, which was a wonderful occasion. Do we have anything online, Colin?
From EJ Colbert. She says that Kai is going to his final interview tomorrow and flies out tomorrow, and after that he flies out to Malta, which is just shy of Italy, for 8 to 10 weeks. And I don't know who this is from, but it says, I'm excited to invite you to art opening 316 at College St. Mary, 5 to 7 p.m. Okay, that is from Elaine Wells. And then another one that I don't know who it's from, but this person is wishing a very happy birthday at Ian Shanklin, and I hope that he feels better.
All right. So if you're interested in reducing our carbon footprint and learning how we can make a difference for the climate, come to the forum next Sunday after the service. Lunch is provided. This is part of our stewardship, imagining what we can become. All right, I invite you to close your eyes now if you wish. Make your body comfortable where you are. Might check your spine is aligned if you're sitting. Maybe even raise those shoulders up and circle back and down a couple times. And let yourself give a strong exhalation, if that feels right. And breathe in. I call into this circle of care all of those among us who know both joys and sorrows. Know that you are held in the loving center of this community. And now I invite each person within the sound of my voice to feel your heart center open. You might want to gently rub your sternum. Invite that to soften and open up. And give yourself some self-love. You are worthy of tender care. And now you might feel waves of loving kindness emanating outward from yourself to each person now gathered who suffers pain of body or spirit. And waves of love emanating out to those in our wider community who are struggling, be it a struggle to make ends meet, or shepherd the children through this violent and alienating culture, or to meet one's own human need for connection. Let the waves of your love continue to reach further out to people across the country and around the world who are suffering, be it from hunger or oppression or climate disaster. And we can extend our love too to other creatures, the four-legged and those who move by feathers or by fins. We send our love out. Let us continue to radiate care, starting within oneself and moving outward in ever-widening circles as we hold a loving silence together. Our reading this morning comes from Thomas à Kempis, a 15th century mystic remembered for his book, The Imitation of Christ. Here's a selection from a longer passage known as The Wonderful Effects of Divine Love. If you're so inclined, you can close your eyes again and take this in like a guided meditation or prayer. Love is a great thing, yea, a great and thorough good. By itself, it makes everything that is heavy light, and it bears evenly all that is uneven. For it carries a burden which is no burden, and makes everything that is bitter sweet and tasteful. The noble love of Jesus impels one to do great things and stirs one up to be always longing for what is more perfect. Love desires to be aloft and will not be kept back by anything low or mean. Love desires to be free and estranged from all worldly affections, that so its inward sight may not be hindered, that it may not be entangled by any temporal prosperity or by any adversity subdued. Nothing is sweeter than love, nothing more courageous, nothing higher, nothing wider, nothing more pleasant, nothing fuller nor better in heaven and earth, because love is born of God and cannot rest but in God, above all created things. He that loveth flieth, runneth, and rejoiceth. He is free, and cannot be held in. He giveth all for all, and hath all in all, because he resteth in one highest above all things, from whom all that is good flows and proceeds. He respecteth not the gifts, but turneth himself above all goods unto the giver. Love oftentimes knows no measure, but is fervent beyond all measure. Love feels no burden, thinks nothing of trouble, attempts what is above its strength, pleads no excuse of impossibility, for it thinks all things lawful for itself, and all things possible. It is therefore able to undertake all things, and it completes many things and warrants them to take effect, where he who does not love would faint and lie down. a musical interlude. You can open your eyes or keep them closed as you prefer. We're going to sing a song called Full of Love. Those are its only words, just full, full of love, repeated. I'll sing the melody a couple of times, and when I signal, you are invited to join in the singing as you catch the tune and are so moved. And after we all get in a groove with the melody, you'll hear singers from the offbeats jumping in with some harmony. And if you're a harmonizer yourself, you can join them as you like. So we're going to sink in and do this a number of times. Just relax and let the music fill you. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. That's the whole thing. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love, full, full, full of love, full, full of I believe that love is the native state of the human being. But the love inherent within us can get covered over by the cumulative hurts of life and by myriad distractions, until our native state of love is hidden and hard to access. That's why, if we want love to be a driving force in our lives, I believe we must cultivate it with persistence and intention. John, a man I once knew, was determined to keep love at the center of his life and being. When he worked as a library clerk, as he did for many years, he wanted all his interactions with patrons to be full of humanity and care. So he smiled at everyone, even those, especially those, who came in with a grumpy face or seemed to be in a hurry. He made pleasant small talk while checking out books. Though as a deep introvert, small talk did not come naturally to him. When someone answered truthfully that their day was other than great, John listened with concern. He might end with something like, "I hope your day is looking up from here," as he handed the patron their books and their slip with their due dates. It was the same when John worked at a grocery store. He handled the greens and the nectarines with care, packing them at the top of the bag so the precious produce would not be squished. Don't you love it when baggers do that? And he made up compassionate stories about the reason that the surly college student was short with him. Maybe she'd found the adjustment to college level work difficult after coasting through high school. And why the wrinkled man in overalls did not make eye contact with him despite his friendly greetings. Maybe the farmer was preoccupied by the drought. John imagined sending good energy with each customer as they carried their grocery bags out the door. He tried to make every interaction a positive one, full of empathy and goodwill and cheer. It was his way of putting love in practice in daily life. John exhibited some of the very characteristics Thomas à Kempis cites in another section of The Wonderful Effects of Divine Love. Consider these qualities Kempis lifts up. Love is active, sincere, affectionate, pleasant and amiable, courageous, patient, faithful, prudent, long-suffering, resolute, and never seeking itself. To be full of love involves more than feeling a positive regard for others or a warmth in the heart, like a Hallmark card. To be full of love involves more even than attaining a transcendent feeling of the kind we heard described in the reading. If one is truly full of love, that love spills over into all of life and affects those around us for the better. Will you sing with me as you're moved? Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. I'm not sure how common it is among Unitarian Universalists today to express the kind of tender devotion that you heard in the reading. What I do know is that love is a powerful force. Einstein called it a universal force that includes and governs all others. And when we cultivate love, it does more for the human being than simply make us feel good. Love directed toward any worthy object, be it a divine image or a spiritual teacher or one's own beloved child, can unify our desires so that the things that aren't really all that important fall away. Conversely, we remember what we actually do care about and are better able to spend our precious time and energy on those priorities. Love directed with discipline toward a worthy object can purify our consciousness, chipping away at impulses rooted in anger, fear, and greed. Impulses that don't take us where we actually want to go. Love aimed with purpose and persistence toward a symbol of our highest values can amplify the motivation that lies latent within to serve those around us. That's why I understand the practice of devotion as a way to open up a channel of love in oneself that is a force of healing, both inside myself and in the world. It works the same regardless of who or what is the object of devotion, Krishna or the great goddess, Jesus or Green Tara. If you have an aversion to such personifications or incarnations of love, you don't have to choose a specific image in order to participate in a discipline of devotion. You can just feel your heart center open and let the love flow freely. I invite you to close your eyes if you like and envision a sacred image that is meaningful to you. Or again, you can simply feel your heart soften and lean into that feeling. And as you do so, I share with you another excerpt from The Wonderful Effects of Divine Love. You can just take it in and let it be whatever it is for you in this moment. Enlarge me, thou, in love, that with the inward palate of my heart I may taste how sweet it is to love and to be dissolved, and as it were to bathe myself in thy love. Let me be possessed by love, mounting above myself through excessive fervor and admiration. Let me sing the song of love. Let me follow thee, my beloved, on high. Let my soul spend itself in thy praise, rejoicing through love. Let me love thee more than myself, nor love myself but for thee, and in thee all that truly love thee, as the law of love commandeth, shining out from thyself. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. Enlarge me, thou in love, that with the inward palate of my heart I may taste how sweet it is to love and to be dissolved, and as it were, to bathe myself in thy love. Now, I want to assure you that with all this talk of the heart and of love, I'm not in any way suggesting we abandon the head. Several years ago, I attended the annual conference of the Association of Unitarian Universalist Music Professionals, Music Ministries. One of the many thought-provoking spotlight sessions was related to language and inclusion in music. Whose music can we use? And is it okay to change the lyrics? This is a question that comes up among UUs. Tricky topics. One of the panelists was a Black woman who was a lay leader and a powerful singer. As I recall, she's from Ohio. Cecilia described how important it is to her to be able to sing potent music of the African American tradition. And just in general, how important it is for her to use music to bring in the sorrow and the solace and the joy and resilience and all the feelings that crystallize in her being, in her life. Cecilia, who is a UU through and through, told us she needs more than reason and intellectual sermons. She loves that, but she needs heart and soul too. And music goes a long way to bring that into worship for her. Another panelist, Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, the music director of one of our larger UU churches, also African American, jumped in to offer some nuance from his perspective. To say that we should try to speak to the head or to touch the heart is a false dichotomy, Dr. Rideout said. This is not an either-or choice between head and heart. It's both and. Both and. We want to stretch the mind, feed the heart, uplift the soul, all of those things. In some of our congregations, there's been more head than heart. I know I was getting pretty heady there a few weeks ago. And so to bring in the both and, to serve all the people who hear their own values expressed in our UU principles, we may need to add more heart to the great heady conversations and ideas we already embrace. As you can imagine, we did a lot of singing when I attended this music conference. It certainly filled my spirit. And by the way, the song we've been singing, Full of Love, was roughed out in about 10 minutes during a songwriting workshop by me and two co-conspirators at the conference. One of the songs we sang in the big choir practice session that moved me at the conference was called Show Us How to Love. It's by United Methodist composer Mark Miller, who was there and a very delightful person. He told us that the lyricist he worked with on this song was moved to write Show Us How to Love after a tragic shooting. A shooting, something awful had happened. I can only imagine by the hand of someone whose native state of love was long ago and deeply covered over. And these artists decided that their response would be to write a song that would be the antidote. Show us how to love. They wanted to strengthen the stream of love, which is the only force that can stem such alienation and violence. The Gospel of Thomas includes a verse that illustrates this idea as well. There are versions of this teaching of Jesus in several of the Gospels of the Bible, but the version in Thomas is probably earlier and is fuller. In Thomas 45, here is what this spiritual teacher imparts. Jesus said, "Grapes are not harvested from thorn trees, nor are figs gathered from thistles, for they yield no fruit. Good persons produce good from what they have stored up. Bad persons produce evil from the wickedness they have stored up in their hearts and say evil things. For from the overflow of the heart, they bring forth evil." So I hear that Jesus is beseeching us to attend to what we store up in our hearts, because it is from the overflow of the heart that good or evil actions arise. He's teaching those around him to actively cultivate love within themselves. My mind turns back to my friend John, whom I introduced earlier. His love overflowed to those around him, whether he was helping library patrons or checking people out at the grocery store. I think it's no accident that John was a meditator. Every day for years, he imbibed lofty words like those of Thomas à Kempis on a regular basis. He stored up love in his heart, and it could not help but overflow and touch those around him. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. One more time. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. You might not know it, given our long-standing reputation for values like freedom, reason, and tolerance, values which I certainly hold. But love and devotion also have deep roots in Unitarian Universalism. Within the very same sermon that launched Unitarianism as a separate branch of Christianity, William Ellery Channing made statements like this one. "We esteem him, and him only, a pious man who shows his delight in God's benevolence by loving and serving his neighbor." In other words, Channing was saying, if your love of God doesn't overflow into your human relationships, or however you imagine your love flowing out, if it doesn't come out and touch the people around you, you don't really have this devotion thing down. Love is even more visible on the Universalist side of our family tree, which was more known for its piety. That denomination got its start when people like Hosea Ballou declared that a loving God would not damn any of his children to hell. And so they did not believe in hell, and they did not believe in that kind of God. Over the last decade or so, there has been a swell of social activism within our UU movement, and I trace a direct line between the founding convictions of Universalism and the Side with Love campaigns of recent years. This is a part of both sides of our UU heritage, this devotional heart that overflows into service to our community and our work for a better world. It's up to us to keep that a living legacy today. I invite you to consider ways that your heart is filled up with love. It could be through participation in different groups or activities at the church. It could be in private practices or other things that you do. And you can call out into the sanctuary, or if you're online, write into the chat, what are some ways that your heart gets filled with love? How do you store up love? volunteering. Family time. Friends. Music. Walking the dog.
My writers group.
Riding with your writers group.
Playing with my cat.
Playing with your cat. Yes, our animal friends and family members. Anybody here go to morning reflections? Might be one way to store up some love.
Reflecting on my father when he used to fall asleep at church.
Were you doing that just now? Reflecting on his father when he used to fall asleep in church. Receiving generosity. Yes, when others reach out to us, it also accumulates, it stores up that love for ourselves. Colin, do you see anything in the chat? I'm not seeing anything, but I know mine doesn't always pick it up. Singing is definitely a big one for me, too.
Tapping into any kind of creativity.
Creativity, yeah. I think our fiber arts group is storing up a lot of love when they get together.
Washing the dishes.
Oh, washing the dishes. Sharing food. Do we have any yoga practitioners here? Yeah, yoga, meditation, prayer. Running. Okay, so lots of ways we can get our bodies into that centering and filling ourselves. Let's see. So how about on the flip side, when you have that love stored up, what are some ways that it overflows and touches other people in your life, whether your friends and family or maybe through ways you're involved here at the church? I think we've been getting some ministry from our music folks already today. They're filling their own hearts and filling us up too.
Advocating for worthy causes.
Advocating for worthy causes. Hugs. Free hugs.
Sharing the stewardship minute.
Oh, sharing this. Oh, that's a reminder because I think I forgot to invite Sarah up. Thank you, Sarah. Must have just glossed right past that. Okay, we'll come back to that one. So yes, giving of our time, talent, and treasure can be a form of overflowing love. Good plug. Cooking. Yes, cooking for loved ones. And speaking of food, some of you bring food to the church or directly to the Clare Cares food pantry for those who are hungry in our community. Yeah.
Putting money in the plate.
Putting money in the plate. We also have these neighborhood care bags that we give out to folks who come to the church door who are having a hard time, and that's a very concrete, tangible way that love is flowing out from this place.
Online. And Thompson says, testing with friends when apart. PJ Colbert, or it says texting with friends when apart. PJ Colbert says helping friends in need.
Mm-hmm. Lots of ways we help our friends in person, or when we just text them a little thinking of you, or when we listen. Well, yesterday I attended one of our Pathways to Membership classes, and I was moved by hearing our board president, Harold Cruz Sanchez, share why he serves our mission. I see a few of the folks who are in that class here. And he talked about how this community has been important for his 3 children who have grown up in this church. They're all in the youth group age level now. And that's motivated Harold to ensure that other kids, other families, will have a caring community like this available to help raise our children and bring them up in a loving environment. Plus, he wants this church to continue to act on our values for social justice in the community, to carry that love that we nurture here out beyond to benefit the wider world. Okay, don't let me forget. Sarah, you just come on up when I say amen, and then we'll get you in before the closing hymn. I have an example for you of love from our wider UU world, going back to that music conference I mentioned earlier. It was in 2019 when I attended that, and it took place that year in Denver, Colorado. And as the final event of the concert, a group of us traveled to a nearby ICE immigration detention facility. Again, this was 2019. We coordinated with local organizers who had been taking actions in this facility for months. And so those organizers knew about the people inside. These were folks who had fled desperate situations in their home countries, seeking a better life here. And they knew that those folks would be in the inner courtyard of the facility where they would be able to hear us singing to them. So we offered songs of solidarity with words like, "Your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. Your divine, my divine." As the flags of the United States and Colorado flew next to a flag for GEO, the private company running this detention facility, and strangely, there was also a POW MIA flag there, a local organizer told us a little bit about the detention center. The main building held 1,400 people, and there was an annex that held another 800 people. It was way over capacity. People were being detained for weeks or months longer than they are supposed to be in inhumane conditions. GEO is notorious for serving spoiled food in its privately run facilities. Another issue is the lack of medical staff. One doctor and a few part-time nurses to serve over 2,000 people. People's medical information was routinely ignored. I can understand why those 3 people would have a hard time remembering everybody's information. One man had listed his allergy on a medical form, and yet his injured feet were bathed in a solution that contained iodine, which was the very thing he was allergic to, making his feet all the more painful. So these are the kind of folks who were in that courtyard listening and what they had been going through. We were full of love from the music conference, and we sang to many people like him who were not allowed to see us, not allowed to make contact with people who cared about them and came to witness their humanity. But they could hear us. So we beat drums, and we improvised harmonies, and we sang our full-throated love and solidarity to them over those flags and into the courtyard. We harnessed the love that had been stored up within ourselves to bring it to that discouraging place, the best antidote that I know to fear, hate, and greed, the power of love. Now, I'll never know for sure what impact that had, but I have to believe that they felt that, oh, somebody here does care about us. Somebody knows that we're people and we matter. There are lots of ways that our church is doing things like that too. I don't know if you saw the ad in the newspaper this morning from the World Herald expressing our stand and that of many other religious communities in support of reproductive freedom and religious liberties. I'm proud of this congregation for the stand we've taken and hope we'll continue to let our love overflow in many ways into the wider community. You want to sing with me one more time? Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. One more. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. One more without the piano. Full, full, full of love, full, full of love, full, full, full of love, full of love. You feel it? I feel it. Let us be full of love. Let us be full to overflowing as we cultivate love in ourselves and share it with the world. And may it be so. Amen. And before we sing again, Sarah is going to come and share a little bit about how's she sharing her love with this community?
Hi. It turns out what I wrote kind of fits with what we've been talking about, so I'm even more happy to share it. This is about why I give to this congregation. And this is what I wrote. Times are changing. They always are, but lately it seems like we're trying to catch up with a whole shift everywhere around us. And I think that we as a congregation have experienced that too. So I was asked to share why I give today, and my first thought was that I'm not giving nearly as much as a lot of people in this congregation, and I wondered if I'm even the right person to talk. So first I turned it down, and then I emailed back and said, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Because I overlooked that, well, we need money to keep things going, and we need to pay for bills, and we need to keep this beautiful building up. There are more ways that need to be shared to build a community, and money shouldn't be the only thing. So a person I met in a volunteer setting a few years ago, a serial volunteer, she told me that in building community, 3 things were important, and you've heard them mentioned this year in the stewardship campaign too. It's about time, talent, and treasure. And we cannot sustain without all of them, and it's not one person's responsibility to fill all of them as one person. So I say the way we co-create community that represents what we value and that serves what we need, we all pitch in the ways that are sustainable for us. So some may be comfortable donating financially, some may have time to give, some may use their talents to contribute. Some may do a combination of those things. But if you feel intimidated, then let me reassure you that even taking on a seemingly small task makes a big impact on a community like this one. Maybe you can't plan a whole auction, but maybe you can sit on your couch at night and enter data in the online system. You can do that while you watch TV. Maybe you can't provide rides for people, but maybe you can set up an Excel sheet to help the caring team organize that better. Maybe you have fundraising ideas that reach the greater community. Maybe you have a hobby that you really want to share with people. Maybe you have some change in your pocket on a Sunday to put in the plate. Maybe you like to print and fold paper. Volunteer for RE on a Sunday, or maybe you like to help prep food in our kitchen to go to youth emergency services. There is truly something to be done for everyone. And that's why I give. And in return, I receive a sense of self and fulfillment and purpose that can often be muted by our everyday tasks. I'm a parent of young children, and that sometimes makes you forget that you're still a person a little bit. So I'm thankful that our lives here are not an all or nothing approach, and that we're all stronger when we work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Every gift of all those kinds of gifts makes a difference to our mission. I invite you to rise now and join in our closing hymn. It's number 1014 in the Teal hymnal, Answering the Call of Love.
So every soul is blessed and
May we return again and again to those places and practices that help us cultivate love. May we be those people who help us to fill ourselves with love, be with one another. And from the fullness of the love that we have stored up in our hearts, may love overflow into the world around us. So may it be. Amen.
All right. Now, if you feel the spirit of love and you want to move your hips on this, please feel free.
Cause if you miss it all